Inside of today's video, I'm going to give you guys an in-depth guide for Season 30 of Ranked. There's a bunch of new modifiers, there's a new meta, and of course, we've got the SpongeBob season, so very hyped inside of Ranked. I'm going to be breaking down all of this for you guys, so I'd really appreciate if you guys subscribe. This takes me days and days of recording, so I really appreciate all the support. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So, with Barbed ammo, that is going to be returning modifier, and this one, from what I remember, I don't think it really impacted the meta too much. I think the brawlers that were good in it are the little pokey brawlers, because the good thing about Barbed ammo is that every brawler has that kind of poison effect, basically. So you got to treat it like everybody's got like a crow shot or a Byron shot, etc. So brawlers like Jean, Gale, all of these multiple projectile brawlers that can get a few chip shots in, those brawlers are going to get a bit more value, but I don't really see the meta shifting too much. I feel like healers could be a little bit better, but yeah, as I anticipate, not much is really going to change with this modifier, so don't expect too much. So jumping into the new modifier, we have momentum, and with this one, with every shot you hit, you get an increased movement speed. So I'm not sure how this is going to completely affect the meta. You'll probably see me develop the meta when I'm streaming and pushing towards masters, so make sure to watch me live. But I think I anticipate brawlers again with range actually being better, because you think when you hit someone you get that movement speed. So if you can always keep your range and hit brawlers, especially with multiple projectiles, you're going to be able to just keep distance from those tanks. So I think like Gale will be insane, Chester will be insane, Mo of course, Clancy, Srage, Crow, all of these chip brawlers should be able to maintain a distance against tanks. But who knows, it might be where if tanks just literally get one shot, then they're just so fast they can close the gap so easily. We'll have to wait and see how these interactions goes. It could be a really fun modifier or it could be pretty toxic, but I don't imagine the meta shifting too far away from what we see in the classic modifier. Jumping into the last modifier, we have Super Bushy. So with this modifier, the grass expands from the middle and goes outwards. Again, it takes a long time for the bushes to actually take over the map, which I like, so it doesn't impact the meta too much, but there are still a few brawlers that get a little bit better. Again, the likes of Tara and Jean I really like. Any brawler with a vision gear equipped is going to be essential on this map. Wall breakers are going to be a little bit better as well, but again, I always love Jean because of his scouting capabilities. Tara is going to be better, especially with the hypercharge. It's going to break a lot of terrain, but it's also just going to be good because any brawler that's good at sneaking around in a bush, you know, a tank, a Tara, Sandy, a Rosa, they're just going to get even better, especially as the game goes on. But again, making sure that you probably have quite a few tank counters in your arsenal, because it's going to be tank counters or tanks and a Super Bushy modifier. Okay, so now let's move over to the classic modifier, starting off with Bounty Canal Grande. So one thing I forgot to mention is that there's 4 maps for every single game mode right now. There's been 1 new addition, so there's a lot to really dive into, so I'll try not waffle too much. So Canal Grande, you guys know, throwers dominate. Daryl is a new addition in the meta. He's always been pretty good in Canal Grande, but now with 2 roles, you can literally make so many plays and so many aggressive ideas. He counters throws pretty well, and there's not many tank counters really in Canal Grande. In terms of good late picks, you got the likes of Lily can be pretty dangerous. Throwers can be good late in the draft like Grom Dynamite, or early in the draft like Larry, Barley and Berry. In terms of other good, just okay brawlers, you got the likes of Even Cole can be really good at collecting the first star in the middle, and then you've just got poke brawlers as well. Canal Grande is a really difficult one to draft in because it all just determines who gets control of the middle. Next up for Bounty, we have Hideout. So here are the best picks on the screen right here. So the same old with Bounty. I like Jean, safe pick in draft. Maddie's a really good hard carry brawler, same with Piper as well. Angelo seems to be forgotten about a lot of the time in the meta for some reason. He's still really good. Gus is starting to become a lot more prevalent, and RT, the main reason why you want to go RT, he pairs really well with other snipers, and he can stop the opponent from going like cheesy brawlers, I don't know, like Mortis, Lily, even Daryl. RT's really good at countering because you can just group up besides him. Kit as well, great counter there. In terms of other great options, I see some really good max synergies on this map. You can easily overwhelm snipers, so I know in ranked you're not going to face off against the greatest of players, so you can probably go with snipers, but if you feel like you're more skillful, you can go with Max Pearl combination. You got Max with kind of anything, kind of aggro like a Jean. You're going to be able to overwhelm the opponents a lot. And then there's other options as well. You know, late on the draft, throws are still going to be okay, but I would say they're not as dominant because there is a lot of space to move on this map, so throws can't really get the most value. Next up, we have Shooting Star here. Your best options on the screen right here. So in terms of meta changes in Shooting Star, we've got the likes of Mortis, who is an insane late pick, like insane. So I end up banning him all the time or just going him, and I end up winning. Even if it takes you all game to get a hype charge, you will literally win the game from that interaction, which is crazy. easy. Daryl as well as a late pick is actually really good in Shooting Star. I think Gus is one of the best options in Shooting Star right now. I feel like he actually counters other snipers just because of his recent damage buff, except for like Mandy and Piper that can be pretty annoying for him. In terms of other good options as well, Larry and Laurie in the mid. I think when you look at Shooting Star, you've always got to make sure that you've got like one good sniper, one good kind of sniper hybrid that is like RT, that is kind of like Angelo, something that's not too skeptic to like Assassin's late pick, and then you either want like a Gene or a Tick or just something in the middle that's not going to get spawn trapped by another thrower. You get what I mean? Because if you just leave yourself with 3 snipers, the opponent can just easily go a thrower. So making sure that you've got that kind of mid brawler, especially behind the unbreakable walls, and you're not going to get screwed over in the draft. Moving into the final map in the rotation, it's not a prank. I know you're probably looking at this thinking, what? Snake Prairie? When was the last time Snake Prairie was in a rotation? I can't actually remember. Has it been years? It feels like it's been a long time. But yeah, Snake Prairie, I'm not too sure about this. The pros definitely won't be happy about Snake Prairie because it's going to be very messy. I used to have fun back in my day. God, talking about 3 years ago, back when the dinosaurs were alive. But I think in terms of Snake Prairie, it's going to be a hard one to draft him because the problem is Snake Prairie, there's only really a few good brawlers. Then once they're banned out, it just gets really messy of just these weird interactions. But you can see the best picks anyway. Bo, Tara, Rosa, by far your best options if you're wondering. Bo's got the Vision Star power and the Vision gear. Rosa has got the Slow gadget, which can reveal opponents. And of course, Rosa's just good in a Bushy map. And then Tara, of course, always good. Got the Vision gadget, and the Super's just going to be able to change the game. Other brawlers that you're going to take a look at, you want brawlers that at least have one wall break in it. The reason being, on Snake Prairie, you always want to break open those two, well, literally left and right side, especially if they have the lead. So that's why I really like Piper, because 2 wall breaks, and then you always know when the opponents are coming towards you if you've got the lead. So that's why I like Brock as well with the gadget. That's why I even like the likes of like Shelly, Ruffs, even to break open the map. It's going to be super messy. We'll just have to see how Snake Prairie goes. So now moving into Dribble, start off with center stage here. Your best picks on the screen right here. So you guys should know Mo is like the best brawler in the game. I'm not really going to talk about him too much. Maybe he gets counted a little bit more in drafts. We'll have to see. But I just think he's going to dominate everything. Gale, still really good in the meta. Really good at scouting on this map. Clancy as well. He's going to be able to get his levels easily because there's a pushing map. Rico's going to be really dominant, especially with the Vision gear and the Hypercharge. Chester, a big sleeper pick, but he can absolutely carry. In terms of other options, you've got to be careful of. Sandy's really good on this map. Of course, you've got a lot of grass, a lot of walls. He can easily build up his super. Tara is going to be good later on in the draft. Larry can be a really toxic option on this map. You slap on the Vision gear, you slap on the Reload Star power, and he can be pretty toxic against a lot of brawlers. Other options as well that might be surprising, you know, Nita can be pretty good, Ems can be pretty good, and as a late pick, you've still got those tanky options. So there's a lot to consider here. So next up, we have penalty kick. Here are your best options on your screen right here. So penalty kick and just a Brawl map pool at the moment, it's just so thrower heavy. I was kind of hoping that they shifted up the map pool a lot more, but it's just left throwers to dominate even more. So you've still got the likes of Barley, Larry, Berry. None of them really receive meaningful nerfs, and only Berry receives a nerf, so they're going to dominate the meta still. And you see Willow as well be pretty good. Dynamite's only good late in draft because he is easily countered. Again, you've got the same late pick brawlers, like Colt can be good to open up the map. So again, on this map, you've always got to consider a few options. You've either got to go a thrower, you either got to go a thrower counter, so whether that be an assassin or a wall breaker like Ruffs, like Griff, like Colt, etc. Or you've got to, like, I don't know, go something that can, like, jump, or, you know, like, I like Cordelius, for example, because he can jump over the walls and take down those throwers. You just got to get everything in combination. But one thing as well, if you have a thrower, try and make sure that you don't really have a wall break, because if you're breaking open the walls whilst you have a thrower, you kind of defeat the purpose of the composition. I see that very common mistake right here, because throwers just abuse everything on this map. Yeah, it's a horrible map to play. Still, we have the return of Pinball Dream. So here, your best picked on the screen right here. So it's basically penalty kick, but a little bit different. Like, throwers are going to dominate. There is more room to move, but throwers will still just absolutely dominate. So again, it's just the same first picks. They're always going to be really solid. Mortis as a late pick. Again, nothing's really changing in the 6th pick either. You know, Daryl can be pretty dangerous. I will recommend picking Daryl later on in the draft. I just play Daryl no matter what, but I will say there is a lot of counters out there in the draft stage, so as a tank he's going to be vulnerable, so pick it towards the end, or if you want to ban Gale or something. I tend to do that a lot in Brawl, ban Gale or ban like Clancy or something, and then just run Daryl everywhere and just destroy everything. In terms of really good options as well, Srage with a hypercharge, pretty good. You know, Tara can be good later on in the draft because there's still other lanes that counter her. You've got the likes of Willow that can be good, Stu with the recent buff to break open the walls. In the middle you've got the likes of Rico, Gus, Byron, Jesse. There's a lot of different options. And finally for Brawl, we have triple dribble. So here is a map and composition on your screen right here. So I do like triple dribble, I just don't really like it in competitive because if you guys didn't know, it's not a symmetrical map. So one team will just not have the best of spawns. You want to be on the side, I think it's the blue side, which is a lot more open, so you're not going to get spawn trapped. So be aware that throwers again are really good on this map. Rico is very good on this map. Wall breakers are going to be good. Tanks are going to be good down the right hand side. Triple dribbles forever remain the same. You know, if you can keep position, you're going to be able to get an easy spawn trap in. So again, that's why I like at least one tank counter in there. One of my favorites being like Srage right now, Gale, Cordelius is going to be good again because where there's throwers, Cordelius is going to be good with the jump gadget, and there's going to be tanks, so Cordelius is going to be good. So he's a pretty good counter option in this meta. You know, Stu, he can be pretty good because he's just that do-it-all brawler in the meta right now, and he can use wall break to counter those throwers. And yeah, there shouldn't really be any more surprising picks in the draft. Maybe Frank early on. People do like going Frank early on, and then late on in the draft again, it's just kind of same old with Brawl. So yeah, it's very thrower-centric, so just be aware. Now moving on to gem grab, start off with double swoosh. Here is the best picks on your screen right here. So in terms of double swoosh, I'll always recommend going a mid that isn't skeptic to those tanks. So that's why I like Jean with the vision gear equipped. That's why even Stu in the mid can be pretty good. You know, Max can get away from those tanks. Gus actually isn't half bad against tanks anymore, especially with the damage buff. You can even go like Sandy mid, etc. In terms of the lanes that I really love on this map, Sandy again, really good lane on this map because you've got the wall peeking, you've got the super to cover the whole map. Tara is reinventing herself back in the meta with the hypercharge. Chester, I don't know why no one goes Chester, and he just dominates everything in lane. Slap the vision gear on him and he'll completely dominate. In terms of good late picks, you'll be surprised. Janet's actually a really good late pick as long as there's no assassins, which is very rare. Then Janet can be really good with the vision gadget, with the vision gear, pretty good at keeping the opponents back. You know, Rosa can be pretty good late in the draft. And other options that it seems to dominate with, Buster, I'll always dominate with on this map. You can get infinite value. And the likes of Shelly as well can be pretty underrated. Next up we have Hard Rock Mine. So your best picks on your screen right here. So the same old with Hard Rock Mine. I do think a few bros have returned to the Hard Rock Mine meta, like Stu for example. He's a great counter to Rico and a lot of different options on this map. Ruffs, even though some people think he's in like the F tier for whatever reason, I think he's a pretty solid brawler in the draft stage. He's good at just on this map because if Rico's good, Ruff's going to be good. He can open up the map and he's going to be able to give the super to the gem carrier. In terms of the best gem carriers here, you got the likes of Jean, Gus, Byron, Max, pretty good. 8-bit can be good but can be countered, so maybe pick 8-bit later on if you do like that. Angelo can be pretty good as well, so just be aware of that. In terms of good lanes, I'm liking a lot of Srage right now. I don't know what it is, he's just that pop-off brawler right now. You've also again got Chester, you've got Tara returning. Nita is very good on Hard Rock Mine. Again, another brawler that I'm seeming to do really well with, because with Nita, it's so hard to push a Nita out of spawn, especially with the bear and just her HP. So Hard Rock Mine, it's just the same. Just don't allow people in behind your grass. Next we have Last Stop. So this is a returning map, so you guys should be pretty familiar with it. But here are your best picks on the screen right here. So with Last Stop, again, it is a lot to do with the vision gear because people don't really equip it in ranks, but it's just essential for gaining lane control. If you've got a good vision gear brawler like Jean, like Gale, you're going to be able to just win your matchup so easily. And that's why you see also a really good sleeper pick on this map that I've got to recommend. It's Otis with the vision gear and his gadget, Fat Splatter. You're able just to gain control of the lane so easily. That's why I really like Chester as well. That's why Tara can actually be pretty good. She can be good at sneaking and pushing forward with the gadget, and she's good turnaround potential. Sandy is good, but I would say Sandy's only really good if you pair it with like a Max or something like that to allow you to get more control. Again, Gus is going to be returning as a mid. He's going to be one of my favorite mids in this season for sure because of the damage buff. Angelo can be pretty good because of a lake. He can get a lot of value and jump away with his gadget. So yeah, just be aware of people sneaking around in the grass. Make sure that at least got one brawler that's going to be good at scouting. And lastly for gem grab, we have Undermine. Here your best picks on the screen right here. So I just think that gem grab is just the opposite of Brawl. It is just tank heaven. It's just so many bushes, so vision gear absolutely everywhere again. So in terms of the best mids on this map, again, Jean's going to be really good at scouting the lanes, just good overall at turning the game around. Piper can be good, Byron, Gus, Jesse's pretty good on this map because of the walls. You can get a lot of value out of the turret. In terms of really good lane options as well, I've been having such a high success rate with Buster. Like, nothing can beat Buster on this lane. It's just absolutely crazy. It's just tailor-made for him. Clancy's really good because, again, you're guaranteed to get your levels up on a map like this. Chester's going to be good because his main attack scouts the entire grass. The same goes with Otis, again, really underrated. Crow, really underrated on this map. Tara's starting to become pretty strong as well. And, you know, other brawlers that are, you know, can be good in the late draft. Rico can be good later on in the draft because you got to make sure that, you know, you're facing the right brawler so you can lock them down pretty easily. And late on in the draft, again, it's just the same type of brawlers that you always see. So now moving on to Heist, starting off with Bridge Too Far. So this is a new map / returning map from previous seasons. So Bridge Too Far, it's just all about range. So that's why you don't see Colette as much, by the way. I know a lot of people like, just go Colette, go Colette. I don't know, it depends. If you don't have faith in your randoms, then you probably do have to go Colette. But, you know, if you actually got brain cells, a lot of times you can just leave Colette on this map and she doesn't do too much. So again, that's why I really like the snipers. So Piper's going to be really good. Angelo, you know, Eve's going to be good because of the water. Belle's going to be good for overall control. But again, making sure that you've got at least one brawler that has good damage output, because the problem that I see a lot in Bridge Too Far is that, you know, people might go, for example, like Byron, Belle, and Piper. Well, yeah, you might be able to kill the opponents like 20 times in a row, but then what if the opponent just has one hypercharged Crow or one hypercharged Colette? So making sure that you've got one of those big damage dealers in your composition. But yeah, don't be afraid just to go pure snipers because it literally is what the map's made for. So next up we have Hot Potato here. The comps on your screen right here. So in terms of Hot Potato, it plays a lot differently to the other ones in the Heist rotation, mainly because it's a very base race map. So by that I mean is that it's just pure damage, just like hardly any control. People just go all out for the high safe. So that's why you see Colette is the best brawler. You see Chuck is really good because he can just easily get onto the safe. Daryl, really good since the rework. Crow's really good because even though he doesn't deal the most damage, he's just going to get fed infinite supers. So one hypercharged super, two hypercharged supers, that's the safe pretty much gone. Mo's going to be good. Rico good for defense. Barley's going to be pretty good because you can just switch over to the slow gadget. You know, Meg or Gale on defense. So again, the way that I work with Hot Potato is having that one offensive brawler always. So even if you're facing off against triple counter, just play an aggro brawler if you have to, because you can't spend the whole game just controlling in Hot Potato. You need one brawler to at least aggress, so then you can allow your teammates to push forward as well. So again, that's why I really like Daryl. Cole can be pretty good, even Lily, Edgar, BB. There's just so much aggression to be had for this map. Just don't be afraid to go it. So next up we have Kaboom Canyon here. Your best picks on your screen right here. So the Kaboom Canyon is just the same as every single Heist map right now. The only big changes I would say in the Heist meta is the introduction of Daryl again since the rework. I will say Gale is still really good with the jump pad. You can just jump into the mid and gain control easily. Crow, so good with the hypercharge. People underrate it a lot. In terms of other good sneaky options, I will say like Angelo is a brawler that I end up banning a lot of times because he's just so good at defending. He's a perfect counter to Chuck and other brawlers. So yeah, I always ban Angelo, pretty annoying. Other good options as well. Eve can be pretty good sleeper pick. You've got the likes of 8-Bit that people forget about that can just deal insane damage, of course. You've got like Brock and Nanny later on in the draft, and you've got the likes of Frank as well. You know, if they don't go multiple tank counters, you know, Frank can do a lot of damage to a high safe, and really you need like Clancy, Colette, or Gale. If the opponent doesn't draft that, then that's just a free like aggro brawler game like Frank, for example, Lily, etc. So be aware of that. Lastly, for Heist, we have Safe Zone here. Your best picks on the screen right here. So this is pretty much the same as 3 of the 4 Heist maps on your screen. It's just the same meta with Heist. It's either hypercharged brawlers or snipers that can kind of control / defend. So Colette, Chuck, Daryl are always going to be your best options. Crow's going to be good. Hypercharge, don't need to say anything else. You've got the likes of Angelo, good pretty much everywhere. Of course, there's a bunch of water. He can defend, he can attack, he can do everything. In terms of other good sneaky brawlers as well, I really like Piper on this map. You can get a lot of control with her, especially with the gadget. Colt can be pretty good down the left-hand side. Again, in terms of brawlers that are a little bit overrated, like Brock is a bit overrated, mainly because there's just so much aggression in this meta. Like, Brock's not going to stand a chance if the opponent goes like Chuck or a Daryl or a Mo. or Melody. You know, there's just so many aggressive options, and Brock can't really do that. But if Brock faces off against a full control comp, then he can get a lot of damage, so do be aware of that. So yeah, it's just the same Heist meta. So now we're going to be moving on to Hot Zone, starting off with Dueling Beetles. Here are your best picks on the screen right here. So with Dueling Beetles, I think the meta hasn't really changed too much. Again, like, you'd be surprised, because I don't think the nerfs really did enough to shift the meta completely. We just see maybe a few new brawlers, a few new faces. So again, Dueling Beetles, Baldi's really toxic. Of course, he's got the heal gadget, and he could just spawn trap so easily. Gale's so good on this map. So easy to keep control with him. You got the likes of Berry as well, pretty good. Chester good. Meg really good at just being Meg and deleting everything. You've got Srage, that is actually really good in Dueling Beetles. He can get his level pretty easily here. Buster can be pretty solid, especially because his super can enable you to gain so much control. Frank is very dangerous on this map. You've got the likes of Lou that can be good later on in the draft. Colette can be a good counter option. And also Draco can be a good late option as well in the draft. But it's very messy on Dueling Beetles, because throwers can just spawn trap so easily. So you've got to make sure that you've either got a wall break, or at least something that can break a spawn trap on this map. Moving into the next map, we have Open Business. Here he picks on the screen right here. So Open Business, I feel like it kind of plays quite similarly to Dueling Beetles, mainly because, again, there's a lot of walls, so throwers can be pretty dominant. There are a few other picks as well. So I will say later on in the draft, there can be some good counter picks. So for example, you kind of go like Griff, Stu to break open the walls. You can go like Tara, a really big tank counter to shut things down. So yeah, with Open Business, again, it's just those throwers. So making sure that you've at least got one, or at least got some form of way of closing them down or being aggressive. So again, that's why I really like Daryl in this draft, because he's so good at dominating throws. You know, for example, if they're behind a wall, well, you can just one super into the mid, one super down the lane, and they're dead every single time. There's nothing they can do. Also, I think I left Larry and Laurie out on the graphic, but they're really good in Open Business because they're all right into tanks as well. You've got the likes of Jesse, that's always going to be good. Frank's always going to be good here. It's just the same type of meta as before. So next up, we have Parallel Plays here, the best picks on your screen right here. So Parallel Plays, this is what I'm going to say in terms of the way that you want to play it. So down the left-hand side, you need one good defensive brawler. So whether that be Gay, or whether that be Chester, or Artie, maybe even like a thrower like Barley that's got a slow gadget. You need something that's going to prevent people from pushing up through that bush. So people make that mistake a lot of the times. They just go like snipers or something, and that's not really going to cut it. So again, making sure that you're being aware that tanks are going to be really good on this map, because you've got those unbreakable walls, and it's gonna be a big hassle. If you lose control, it's going to take forever to pinch them off the zone. So again, make sure that you've got that left lane on lockdown, send someone down the middle, and then down the right hand side, you want an aggressive brawler yourself. So whether that's the like of Chuck can be pretty good, Mortis, Sam, Hank, Buzz, Frank. There's a lot of good options down the right hand side, so make sure to use them. And lastly, for Hot Zone, we have Ring of Fire here, your best picks on your screen right here. So I've not really played too much Ring of Fire since all the meta shifts and whatever else, but I think it's still the same type of stuff. So with Ring of Fire, the way that it is to be played, you got to stop people from sneaking in behind, because they can start with spawn trap. But the way I like to play it is that you send at least 2 people middle, and then send one person either to defend or try and get in behind the enemy grass, because again, people lose sight of the objective in Ring of Fire. But if you send 2 people mid most of the time, you're going to win the game. So middle brawlers that I really like in terms of support, so I really like Byron in this meta. Gus is going to be pretty good in the middle. Angelo can be good. Jesse, you've got a lot of good options. Pam as well. Meg, that are going to be just those good mid brawlers in terms of good like sneaky options that can go down the lane or whatever else. You can go the likes of even Chester. Buster can be pretty good. Daryl's going to be good to get in behind enemy lines. Amber can be good for spawn trapping. Ruffs can be pretty good as well. Late picks is just the same old, you know, Lily can be good to get in behind if it's not enough tank counters in their composition. Mortis can get team wipes. Buzz can get in behind enemy lines. So I'll always say, making sure that you're sending 2 people mid and you'll be good. So now moving into the final game mode, we have Knockout, starting off with Bell's Rock. Here are your best picks on your screen right here. So with Bell's Rock, I will say that throwers again are just completely dominating the Knockout meta. There was a brief period where they weren't as good, but they've just been good for seasons upon seasons now. So with Bell's Rock, Rico's going to be really good, of course, with a hypercharge and just good at locking down lanes. Gene's going to be good. He's good into everything. Larry and Laurie are good into everything. They're good into tanks. They're good into other throwers, so you can never really go wrong with them in draft. Tick as well, since the hypercharge buff. Tick's always been good at knockout and bounty, so you can never really go wrong with Tick. And you've also got like Daryl. Maybe you can't go Daryl. It's up to you. If you're a good Daryl, you can definitely go early on in the draft, because there's not actually many good tank counters in the knockout rotation. There's only really like RT, for example, Pearl, but people don't really realize that in the ranked games that I play. But again, that's why RT is really good, because he can shut down those aggressive ideas like Kit, like Daryl, and then RT's just good once the gas closes in because of his shield star power. Buster can be pretty good for those reasons. In terms of carry picks, Mandy, Piper, and throwers are going to be your best options in Bell's Rock. So next we have Flare and Phoenix. Here are your best picks on your screen right here. So this plays a little bit differently than how it's played in competitive. In competitive, people just literally sit and spawn and wait until the gas closes in and all the action happens at the end, but it's not played so much like that in ranked. But here are your best picks anyway. So Gene's going to be really good, scout the grass and just giving heals. He's going to be good. Buster, reason why he's going to be good is because typically in Flare and Phoenix, he sends 2 people down the right and 1 person down the left. Buster's always going to be able to get his super for free when he's just sitting with that person, whether it's a Gene or a sniper. And then you typically want to send a thrower down the left hand side or a sniper. So whether that thrower be Barley's really good for late game with the heal gadget. Tick's going to be good. Larry and Laurie going to be good. And then in terms of your snipers, you've still got Mandy, Piper, Belle, Angelo. Pearl is really underrated here because, again, she can counter like Kit and other compositions, and she can just heat up really easily. Combine that with a gadget and it's just infinite damage. In terms of really good late picks to watch out for, Miko can be good here. Grom is devastating, especially when he knows there's no aggressive brawlers. He can just deal insane damage, so watch out for that. So next we have Goldarm, Gulch. So the return of this map, it plays very similar to the other knockout maps, to be honest. I don't even know if it changed out any brawlers because it's just such the same. Throws are going to be good. You know, there's a few tanky options, and then there's snipers as well. So again, Gene's going to be really good. You've got Tick and Larry and Laurie because they can just zone out the opponents really easily, and they can be pretty toxic as long as there's not a bunch of aggressive options. And then you've got the likes of Mandy, can be really good on knockout, especially now she only takes 4 shots to get super. Gus is going to be insane in this knockout meta. Same with RC as well, so tend to go with brawlers a lot of the time. You know, same with Pearl. Pearl's just going to be good in into everything. You can never really go wrong with Pearl because people will always try and go for like a Daryl or a Mortis or a Kit in this meta, so you can never go wrong with that. Angelo can be good. So again, making sure that you've got a couple of brawlers that at least got some type of escape mechanism or some way of defending himself against assassins, because they're very prevalent in this meta. Moving on to the final map in the rotation, we have Out in the Open. Here are your best picks on the screen right here. So this is a very sniper heavy map. You can go some late picks in terms of assassins. Throws aren't going to be very good. It's just all about those snipers. So Gene's going to be good. He's got the vision into the grass, so you're good to go there. Angelo's going to be good because he can always just float down the left hand side. You've got Piper, that's going to be really good to combine literally one shot, and then Gadget can just 2-tap a lot of meta brawlers. RT is going to be exceptional on this map just because, again, he's got so much HP, and if you combine him with so many different brawlers, you're going to deal a lot of damage, and he's going to be good late game. Daryl's going to be good, especially because there's so many like snipers on this map. Daryl's going to be able to counter them. It's more so you got to realize with Daryl that he's better in the late game of knockout, and it takes a while for him to get super, so do be aware of that. In terms of other good options as well that can be underrated, Brock is good late on in the draft. You don't want to pick Brock early on because he just gets really countered by snipers. Now he's just not the best. But he can be good late on to break open that back wall so you don't get spawn trapped. You know, Nanny's better later on in the draft, again, because Nanny's just countered too easily in the draft. Pearl is exceptional on this map because you can camp in the grass, pop a gadget and kill so many brawlers. The same goes with Gus as well, can be really good with the Kooky Popper. And also Grey can be pretty underrated on this map. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, I do appreciate you guys subscribing and smacking a like because it just took so long to do this video, but I know this really helps you guys, so I try and push myself to do it every season. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.